Hey, it's Claude Johnson here. Welcome to this lesson. This is going to be a beginner blues lesson. I thought the most powerful thing I could do is show you how to play a complete song. So if you're brand new to the blues or even brand new to the guitar, I'm going to show you everything you need to know. We're going to play this song called Sweet Home Chicago. Now this is originally a Robert Johnson song, but a lot of people have covered it like Buddy Guy. I'm going to show you kind of like a Buddy Guy style arrangement for beginners. So it's going to sound something like this. Come on, baby, don't you want to go? I said, come on, baby, don't you want to go? Back to that same old place, sweet home Chicago. All right, so that was just one verse, but we can add more verses. We'll talk about that later. All right, so let's talk about the blues. So the most important thing is the structure. You may have heard the phrase 12-bar blues. It's really important to understand that because, even though not all blues songs follow the 12-bar blues structure, there's a lot of them that do. And there's a lot of songs that may not follow it exactly, but if you know the structure, you're going to understand how most blues songs are put together. All right, so the 12-bar blues structure is based on what's called like the 1-4-5. Basically, that means like the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. So we're just getting into a little bit of music theory, so bear with me because it's really important. Once you understand this, you'll make like a big leap in terms of your understanding. All right, so basically all it means is like if you take a major scale like G, the 1 chord is going to be the 1 or the first degree, which is G in the key of G. It sounds pretty basic, right? Or A in the key of A. The 4 chord is going to be based off the 4th note of the scale, and the 5 chord is based on the 5th note. So I know that's a lot of numbers and stuff, but here's how you can think about it. You pick any note as your root. So let's say the key of G. Here's your 1 chord. Now you go up 1 set of strings. You just move up to the next string. Okay, that's a C note. So my 4 chord would be C. And then I move up 2 frets. There's my 5 chord. That's all it is. Okay, so in the key of G, you have G, C, and D. For example, in the key of A, you have A, D, and E. In the key of B, you have B, E, and F sharp. And so on. In the key of C, you have C, F, and G. In the key of D, you have D, G, and A. Okay, so hopefully that's not super complicated. This song is in the key of E, so you can do it up here like E, A, and B, or here. All right, so when you have a blues, there can be different kinds of blues, like a major blues, minor blues, and there's lots of variations with songs, but basically you're gonna have like the same kind of chords. So in a major blues, you'd have like E major, A major, B major. Minor blues would be like E minor, A minor, B minor. But the main one is really like dominant chords, or also called like dominant 7 or just 7 chords. So like E7, A7, and B7. All right, so there's also this riff, which I'm going to show you. So it's like, which is actually easier than playing a chord. But I just want you to understand the basic structure. All right, so we're almost through the theory part here and get into the good stuff. But this is, don't skip over this. Within the 12-bar structure, hey, real quick before we continue here, I just want to give a quick plug for my free blues course. It's called 7 Blues Guitar Secrets That Save You Years of Practice. You can get it at BluesGuitar.com/secrets, or just check the link in the video description. But I think it's really going to help you out. It's got a lot of powerful concepts and insights That took me a long time to figure out, and it's going to help you with everything you're doing, including the stuff in this video. So once again, just check the link in the description. Thanks for your support, and now back to the video. So you're going to have 4 bars of the 1 chord. So in this case, basically E7. Then 2 bars of your 4 chord, which would be A7. Then 2 more bars of your 1 chord, which is E7. And then the last 4 bars are your turnaround, which are going to be the 5 chord, the 4 chord, the 1 chord, and then the 5 chord. All right, so now that we understand the 1, 4, 5, let's go over the basic chords in the key of E. So that'd be E7, A7, and B7. All right, so on this particular song, we're really not going to be playing the E7 because we're going to be playing this riff instead. But let's go over the chord anyway, and we'll talk a little bit about the blues rhythm, and then we'll go over the riff. Okay, so let's see, E7. So I got my middle finger here on the 2nd fret of the A string, first finger on the 1st fret of the G string, and then pinky on the 3rd fret of the B string. And you can play all 6 strings if you want. You can just play this, which would be 5 strings. Okay, A7. I got my middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string and ring finger on the 2nd fret of the B string. And I'm not going to strum the low E, just these 5. Okay, and then B7, I'm really just strumming the middle 4 strings. This is going to be middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, first finger on the 1st fret of the D string, and then ring finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and then the open B string there. So, all right. So, with the blues, it's often what's called a shuffle rhythm, which is basically a triplet feel. So triplet meaning 3. If you were going to break the beat down like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. And what you do is like you tie the first 2 beats of that together. So like 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, bum, 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 bum. You get that kind of a feel, which is called a shuffle feel. So what you could do, even before you learn any riffs or anything, is take these basic chords. You could like play a, downstroke and then an upstroke. So like down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And remember, this is in a shuffle feel. So you're not doing like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that would be like a straight feel. It's more like. So you can count like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now you go to your 4 chord. So we're playing through a complete 12-bar blues here. It's a great exercise. Just, just work on understanding and playing through that form and, getting to know the structure of that. Okay, so once we have that down, let's try to work on playing through this particular song. So one little twist on the basic 12-bar progression is what's called a quick 4. That means on bar 2, we're going to go to our 4 chord. All right? So now, this is going to be, here's the riff you're going to play. It's like this. This is a very common, almost like cliche blues riff, but it works great. It works in lots of songs. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm using the low open E string, and then I've got my first finger on the 2nd fret of the low E, And I'm just going to be playing these two notes. Okay, this is my first finger, and then what I do is I move to my fourth finger on the fourth fret. And you go back and forth, but you're staying within this shuffle rhythm that we just learned. So, also, really important is what's called palm muting. I'm using this part of my hand here on the right hand just to muffle it so it doesn't, you don't want it to ring out like, okay, that's a little too loud and out of control. So just add a little bit of palm muting here. So it's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now later on you can slide up to like another note, but we don't need to worry about that for this song. Okay, so remember I said the quick 4, so we can do one bar of this. Back to the 1. Now we go to the 4 chord again. Back to the 1. Now here's our turnaround. We're going to switch from doing those riffs to just the B7 chord. Here's like what I like to do. So sometimes this is called a claw hammer technique, like where you're kind of just pinching these strings. I like to pick the low note of my B7 and then use these fingers on the right hand to just pluck the upper notes of the chord. And I kind of play this rhythm like 1 and 2 and. Okay, so A7. Now you can play this A7. You can also play this A7. So this is like I'm just borrowing this and then using my pinky on the high E string 3rd fret. So and then here's where it gets a little bit fancy. So this is like an E, you got your E7 chord. I just hit the low string and then the high string. And then I hit the D note, which is the 3rd fret of the B string. And what I'm going to be doing is kind of going back and forth between the B string and the high E string. So I pick the B string with my pick, and then I use my ring finger here to pluck the high E string like this. And I go back and forth while this note goes down. So you kind of end there on the open B string. And then to your B chord. So the whole thing is like. So at the end there was a little bit of just kind of random picking on the beat note, but you could keep it very simple. So the whole turnaround. All right, so that's basically the whole song. What you can do, it's always good to have like an intro and an outro to make it sound like more of a complete song. What you can do for like a very simple intro for this would be to just play the turnaround. So you start off, the very first thing you do in the song would be start on the B7. Come on! And then you go right into verse 1. Baby, don't you want to go? Come on! Baby, don't you want to go? Out to that same old place, sweet home Chicago. repeat. Verse 2 can be exactly the same as verse 1. Verse 3, you can do this little breakdown. 1 and 1 is 2. 6 and 2 is 8. Come on, baby. Don't be late. Come on. And then you continue on. So really, that's all you need. 3 verses, an intro and an outro, and you're good. At the very end, you can just go from one of those turnarounds and then just end on your E7 chord. Okay, so I said you didn't need the E7 chord. Maybe you need it just one time at the very end. So really, that's all it is. It's just, understanding the 12-bar structure, understanding the triplet rhythm, working with those, those riffs, get the turnaround lick, and then, you don't need to worry too much about singing. What you want to do is try to sing it, even if you think that you're not a good singer. It doesn't really matter. The fact that you're singing it at all is going to carry the main melody and kind of tie it all together. So when it comes to playing and singing together at the same time, I like to give like a 3-step formula, which is like number 1, first make sure you got the guitar part down. Number 2, then you worry about like adding in the lyrics, making sure you're coming in on the right beat and on the right note. It really helps to record yourself. And then step 3, you can actually work on trying to improve your singing if that's a goal of yours. And if it's not, don't worry about it. Just sing enough just so you can hold the song together, and you can always hook up with some bandmates later on. But with, as with any song, it just helps to record yourself and just really focus on the rhythm. Trying to, one thing I love to do is just tap my foot, just try to get into the rhythm, and you can work on your rhythm skills that way. A lot of intermediate guitarists get caught up in learning a million different ideas and techniques, and they don't focus enough on the fundamentals, which is just, playing tight, playing in time, and all that stuff. So there you have it. Hopefully you enjoyed this lesson. Let me know any comments or questions. And if you want to learn, go way beyond just the basics, I suggest to check out my course, which is called Your Blues Repertoire. I go over tons of blues songs with a lot of different variety and technique. So we're just scratching the surface here, but hopefully you got something good out of this. All right, talk to you soon.